Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to end the video. There's another paid request, this time for Joe. Thank you, Joe. I really do appreciate it. He sent in a paid request for me to do a commentary on the 2003 film Shade. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, got to here at the beginning, 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Cobalt Production Company. And then for Sync Team, we have another one, RKO. Which you're not going to see that logo pretty much anytime soon. RKO Pictures, man, that was a company from way back in the day and just gone, long gone. And we have the voice of Sylvester Stallone as the Dean. I do like this film. I remember when I saw it, I'm like, I'm not sure because I'm not into poker. I don't play cards, but the cast, the quick pacing, I mean, it's only 90 minutes long. And the director keeps the film interesting. I mean, the director of the film was a guy who knew a lot about this, because the director, the sleight of hands, the card mechanics, he was very much, well, I'll get to that in a minute, but we have this flashback, which we come to find out, I'm assuming if you watch this, you've seen the movie, so spoilers. This is a young Sylvester Stallone. As pretty much this robbery's happening, and there's Sylvester Stallone's character as a youngin'. It's not many times you hear Sylvester Stallone say, well, the technical term for this is fucked. Now, I'm not sure about the flashback being done in this sort of... It's not black and white, and it's not color, it's... Is it sepia? I'm not sure the exact color scheme. I think it would have been interesting if it was done in black and white. And then you go into color. With the stand up, which we'll see some of that later on as to how that is. I was going to say fixed, but that's not really the right term. Now, I know some of the hands, the sleight of hand card mechanic tricks, some of this is actually the director himself, among others, who know how to do well with these cards. No special effects, all done for real by the card mechanics. And the director's name is Damian, if I pronounce it correctly, Damian Nieman. Damian Nieman. He wrote the film, he directed the film, and it's the only film he did. The only film he did. Maybe because, he didn't really plan on being a director, and he had a good experience doing this type of work, so wanted to make a film showcasing these card mechanic techniques. And I mean, this type of stuff is just cool to watch. I mean, there's street magicians and things of the like that do this type of stuff. I forget what was the one guy's name that does these kind of card tricks and really impress people with it. That guy looks familiar, and that's Glenn Plummer, the attendant. For those who are wondering, Glenn Plummer, Remember the guy in Speed with Keanu Reeves, who Keanu Reeves took his car? Are you insured? Yeah, why? That's Glenn Plummer. He was in Speed. And then he had they brought him back for Speed 2 as well. I think the car was a Jaguar that he owned. But yeah, you look at this cast, I mean, you got Sylvester Stallone, you got Gabriel Byrne, you got Thandiwe Newton, you got Jamie Foxx, you got Hal Holbrook. You have all of this. Melanie Griffith, which you don't really see her much anymore. But yeah, the card trick stuff is pretty cool. It's like the David Blaine, that's the guy I was thinking of. Like David Blaine when he does those crazy card tricks. It's just very fun to watch because it's all done for real, but at the same time, it's still that sense of mystery of like, how the hell did that happen? How the hell did they do that? How the hell did that work out? So still that sense of mystery and wonder that you had as a kid. Obviously it's done with technique, sleight of hand, but it's still sort of sense of mystery to make the viewer enjoy. And here we have Gabriel Byrne, which by this point he was in The Usual Suspects. He was in End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the devil, which is my favorite role of his. He was also in this film called Stigmata, among many others. He's sort of one of our guys that's going to try to lead into this big con, where it gets utilized with our main character, Stuart Townsend, as well as Gabriel Byrne's girlfriend, Thandiwe Newton. Pretty decent camera work, being all done one shot. Sorry, just moving some stuff. But at the end of the cast, I mean, you got Stuart Townsend, which the same year he was in that film League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as Dorian Gray. There's Jamie Foxx there. And Jamie Foxx, I mean, he was getting into movies with... He had done Any Given Sunday, he was in Ali. It would be soon after this, he was in Collateral. And Ray. And Ray, I think... he won the Oscar for that? So yeah, this is before he would go on to... He had done big things by then. Like I say, Any Given Sunday, Oliver Stone. He was the star of this film called Bait, which I remember enjoying. I don't think the film's on Blu-ray, but I remember having some fun with that. That's a bit of an action comedy. Yeah, Antoine Fuqua directed that one. It was a big bomb. I think by that point people thought he couldn't be the star of a film. I mean, he did well on Any Given Sunday, but I mean, again, that was his like first... He had been in films before. He was in Toys, a small bit, Robin Williams film. The Great White Hype. He was on the TV show In Living Color back in the day. And he had a supporting role in Ali with Will Smith. But yeah, the year after, 2004, he was in Collateral and Ray. That was a big 1-2 punch. Collateral was a great movie. Ray won him the Oscar. And that's what got him a lot of these other big roles, like Stealth, Jarhead, Miami Vice. Although I think none of those films really did that well. But then Dreamgirls was successful. Law Abiding Citizen, I do enjoy that one. Of course, he would go on to be Electro, Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was in White House Down as the President, which I think is an underrated film. I like White House Down. Of course, he was in the new Spider-Man No Way Home. He's in this one that seems interesting called Day Shift. Action vampire film. I'm curious about that. There we got Thandiwe Newton. Thandiwe Newton kind of came onto the scene because she was in Mission Impossible 2. I mean, she was in other films before that, Gridlocked with Tupac. But Mission Impossible 2 was kind of like a big role for her. Same with the... She was in this film Beloved, which had Oprah Winfrey in it. But yeah, Mission Impossible 2 got a lot more people recognizing her. And then after this, she was in that Chronicles of Riddick movie. She was in Crash, which was controversial, winning the Oscar for that year. She was in the Will Smith film The Pursuit of Happiness. 2012, she was in that movie, Roland Emmerich movie. I think she was in Solo, a Star Wars story. So pretty much, Gabriel Byrne and Thandiwe Newton, they're together, but they're big old con artists manipulating Jamie Foxx here, using people for how they can for their services. And Jamie Foxx, I mean, he does have a good charm and likability to him, and features a lot of characters he portrays. Probably one of the many reasons why Amazing Spider-Man 2, Electro didn't work for him. I talked a little bit about RKO Pictures. That was a company that Howard Hughes had taken over in the late 40s. And then that went from him to the General Tire Rubber Company. And then around 1959, it was pretty much dissolved and turned to the Crapper. I think around 1980, somewhere in the 1980s, it was kind of brought back. And now it's pretty much like a small independent company at this time. But yeah, RKO is the ones that release, Citizen Kane, among other stuff. And they released Teen Con. Yeah, they released Teen Con, that's what I thought. But yeah, nowadays they're pretty much not much of anything. Like, you never hear about them. And there's Stuart Townsend there as the dealer there. And Stuart Townsend does a decent enough job as the lead. I mean, I didn't follow much of Stuart Townsend's career. I mentioned in the same year he was in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think most people remember him from Queen of the Damned, which is a film I wasn't a fan of. But see, afterward he was on Aeon Flux, the movie. Oh yeah, he tried to be in that. They tried to reboot Kolchak the Night Stalker in 2005, and he was the star of that as Kolchak. I'm like, dude, no disrespect, but there's one called Kolchak as Darren McGavin. There's a reason why that show didn't last long. Just like, why the hell am I going to watch a Kolchak without actual Kolchak? Nah. So, I mean, the gist of the plot is that you got Thandiwe Newton and Gabriel Byrne, like, they meet up with Jamie Foxx. They agree to be partners. Then they meet up with Stuart Townsend, who is a card mechanic, as they say. Pretty much a card mechanic manipulates what card will be on there, so to give you the good cards. But again, they're supposed to take this money down, but for what I remember, because I have a bad memory, Jamie Foxx screws it up because he tries to be too bit of the hot-headed type of guy. But you could tell, that's the interesting thing about the film, you tell it's done by a guy who's very knowledgeable on the subject matter. There's not some outsider trying to ham-fist his way into how this whole thing works. It's like, no, this is a guy who actually is a card mechanic, so he knows how this works, he knows the language. And the dialogue works naturally. And I think what makes the film work is because the cast work well together. And like Sylvester Stallone, I'll be honest, that was why I watched this back in the day. And I'm like, where the hell is Sylvester Stallone? But he's not the star of it. As much as I rag about Stallone nowadays, it's again because I know he can do better. Because I actually do think he's a good actor. I think he's a very competent actor. I grew up with the guy. I love a lot of the guy's films. I love the first 4 Rambo films. I love a lot of the Rocky films. I love, sincerely, Lock Up and Daylight and ICU and Tango and Cash and Cobra. I may not like every film he's done, but I love Over the Top. I enjoyed Oscar. Cliffhanger and Demolition Man are 2 of my favorites. I can watch Assassins and get some enjoyment out of it, although it's a bit too long. And Get Carter I like. But this is a time where Stallone's career was not doing the best. And I don't know, maybe I should wait till Stallone is on screen before I get to that, but well, I might as well talk about it since he's not going to be on for a while. Because that's how I first saw this, was because, oh, Sylvester Stallone's in it, and he's on the cover of the DVD. Let me check this out. And this is when I mean, I wouldn't mind Thandiwe Newton being, my mistress, but I don't know about the slapping. Not really a slapping type of guy. The other stuff I could deal with, but maybe. Nah, I probably wouldn't like that either. And I wouldn't be calling it. So maybe, yeah, this wouldn't be my cup of tea. Maybe I'd be the opposite. Maybe I'd be the one sitting in the chair and like... So this wouldn't be my cup of tea. Even if it is Thandiwe Newton. So... I just had my brain lost for a minute. Just like, ooh, it's Thandiwe Newton. Thandiwe Newton is a beautiful lady. But I don't know if I want... Yeah, I wouldn't want to be handcuffed either. Well, it's not handcuffs, but tied up. Don't leave his ass there. Damn, ball gate almost hit him right in the nose. He's gonna leave his ass. Oh shit. Fatim bitch. For those who never saw it, she tricked this guy and getting tied up, and now she's gonna get his kidney out to sell it. We have this corrupt cop played by Bo Hopkins, another good character actor. I remember him. He was in this Wayne's Hauser creature feature called Mutant, which was a pretty decent film. Also, he was in From Dusk Till Dawn 2, which I actually like. I mean, it has some iffy effects, but I love how crazy Scott Spiegel's direction is on that, and Robert Patrick's pretty good, as well as Bo Hopkins. It's not as good as the first one, but I do like From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Touches Blood Money, and as well as Mutant, so... And Bo Hopkins is a good character actor. But yeah, I was talking about Sylvester Stallone. This is a time when his career wasn't doing well. I mean, you gotta understand that, yes, in the 90s he had hits like Demolition Man and Cliffhanger, but when he got to 95, Judge Dredd wasn't that good a movie. It bombed. Assassins bombed. Daylight, which I do like, but it bombed. Maybe it made some money overseas, but it definitely bombed in the U.S. An Alan Smithy film, considered an embarrassment. I mean, Dick Carter was in 2000. I liked that film. I quite liked that movie, but that film sadly bombed. A lot of people didn't like it because they preferred the original with Michael Caine. So yeah, Dick Carter being a bit bomb. Driven, awful movie, that was a bomb. Detox, ATICU. I know they say limited release, but I might as well say it's direct to video. And I remember specifically when that film came out, it was an advertisement, I saw a trailer, and I was living in San Marcos at the time, and I remember the day it came out, I walked to my local Best Buy and saw it and was really excited and bought it. And while, yes, I wish it was more violent, like gory, I was pleasantly surprised and really enjoyed it. When I say pleasantly surprised, I'm like, well, yeah, this is a film that went straight to video, pretty much. And I loved it. I thought it was really good. I don't think it was as bad as people made it out to be. But yeah, I was saying, this is a time when ICU was pretty much direct to video. So think about it. Dick Carter bomb, Driven bomb, ICU straight to video. Avenging Angelo, which is not that good of a film, that was direct to video. This film, I mean, I guess technically, like ICU, this was in like 5-6 theaters. I think it was in like, this film was in 6 theaters and made like 500,000. And then pretty much direct to video. I mean, the hit film he had was Spy Kids 3, which is sad. But you tell that Stallone, he pretty much was... He knew something was up. That's why he took like a 3-year break. I mean, he's realizing, man, my films are going straight to video. Let me take a break. Came back with Rocky Balboa. Then Rambo 4. Then The Expendables. And then they had, you know, more theatrical films, including Creed and Escape Plan and things of that nature. But then sadly, you know, you choose films like fucking Grudge Match and Bullet to the Head and Escape Plan. No wonder he went back to straight to video with Escape Plan 2, Escape Plan 3, Bat Trace. Some of the worst films in his career. And this is a guy, you know, Jamie Foxx's character, just pushing too hard, too fast. Just too impatient. And you can tell Gabriel Byrne's eyes, like, what the hell is he doing? What the hell is going on here? And just guy who's not taking his time. Sort of, again, the hot-headed feeling to it. Now the one guy, I forget his name. One guy knows at the table. Yeah, that guy there, behind Jamie Foxx, that had the beard. I think he was in John Carpenter's Vampires. I think he was one of the hunters where early on he gets kind of almost split in half. And in this cocky, hot-headed aspect, what gets him in trouble, makes him lose, and seals his fate. You know, if you want to get in that game, don't be a cocky, hot-headed asshole. Think you know it all. Because then you're going to lose easily. And there's been, you know, poker films out there. There was Rounders with Matt Damon and Edward Norton, which I remember not minding. My favorite is probably Maverick, just because of the fun nature of Mel Gibson and James Garner, and has this Western adventure quality to it. I remember liking Maverick quite a bit. Of course, I always think of the song The Gambler with Kenny Rogers. Yeah, again, this is Jamie Foxx not being the professional like the others and gets himself up shit creek, which, like I said, seals his fate in the long run. But that's where you get to the twist, of course. The twist is this is all technically a big con on the Jamie Foxx's character. And so everyone you're seeing here is part of this con. Like, they knew Jamie Foxx was like this. Because, like, Gabriel Byrne and Stuart Townsend, they're so talented, they don't need Jamie Foxx. It's because they knew he would be hot-headed. They knew he would use all this money and push all this money in. And that these people are better. So then they take the money, they split it up, they made an easy winning. Because that's why when Jamie Foxx comes back, then there's nothing there. It's all part of the big con, and that kind of gets you on your toes as to what is real, what is not. $100,000. Well, 82,500. But that's still over 100,000 in the pot. I mean, how many big people are involved with this? I mean, if you think the people at the table, if those 5 people, even if they get 10,000 apiece, that'd be 50,000. Maybe she gets 5,000, 55. The others get some semblance of money. Desert Girls were fucking a guy named Jack. And that's for me. Sorry, I'm listening to the dialogue again. So remember, she get the idea that the money he bet. I think like Stuart Townsend probably thinks it's his own money, but you kind of realize that it's actually this mobster's money, and they probably don't even. Because at the end, these enforcers come to Jamie Foxx. They're like, "Where the hell's the money?" They go to a place, they find there's nothing there, and that's where they realize Jamie Foxx has been conned out of that money. Well, I don't care if you're vibrating, that's your own prerogative. Now that guy there who was on the phone, his name is Roger Guinevere Smith. I recognize him because he was in this one of those Steven Seagal direct-to-video films, Mercenary for Justice, and he was, I think, the main villain or one of the main villains in that. And I remember his like sort of specific acting being a bit weird in that movie. I think he was also like an agent talking with Devon Sawa in the first Final Destination film. Don't care about the beach. Talk to your son. Just share the titties and have fun. Show them titties and they'll go towards you. Now, again, they were tipped off, and I think you find out that Thandiwe Newton was the guy that tipped them off. Because people, play each other. That's the thing you find out about this movie is that, can't trust anybody. Cons everywhere. And you con the cons and all that jazz. This would kept the plot a bit interesting. The other guy, the other enforcer is Be Real. He's a rapper. He was part of Cypress Hill. For those who remember the band Cypress Hill. Yeah. But like I said, what makes the film work is the cast. The cast definitely carries the film. And yeah, here's the everybody's gone. It was a big old scam, big old trick to screw him and him alone over. And here we are, like all the separations of it all. Never knew what him, all that jazz. Again, the stuff that happens a lot. Suckers born any minute and every minute, as they say. But yeah, I do remember when I first watched this, I'm saying, like, where the hell is Sylvester Stallone? When is Sylvester Stallone going to get into it? And it's not like till quite a while afterward that... here we go, here's Jamie Foxx. There you go. But yeah, Stuart Townsend and Gabriel Byrne definitely don't know that he was part of this mobster thing. Because Stuart Townsend, I mean, he's a con artist, but he doesn't seem like an evil guy. And like, if he knew this would get someone killed, he would not have done it. That he seems like the type of guy that would not. Thandiwe Newton, on the other hand, we've seen how sadistic she is. She's willing to tie someone up and get their kidney removed just for extra cash. So that always showcases just how much of a conniving, manipulative lady she is, among other reasons, and other scenes. But just to say for the umpteenth time, like, Stuart Townsend is capable as the lead, Gabriel Byrne I mentioned, Thandiwe Newton, Jamie Foxx, who's not in the film anymore now. But yeah, then we don't get like Sylvester Stallone, we don't get Melanie Griffith, we don't get Hal Holbrook. Michael Dorn becomes one of the players at the end. Worf from Star Trek. Now, for those wondering, it's just a 6.3 on IMDb, which is respectable. So when we watch the film, it's kind of like, okay, well, when does the con begin with Stuart Townsend wanting to take over these two? Here we go, Sylvester Stallone. "40 minutes in." I can see why Stallone would do the role. Like, okay, I get to be, the dean, and I get to be this top guy that people talk about and people fear, and he wins out at the end too. I think that's the thing with Stallone, is that, Copland, he tried to do something different. Did a great job, but I think for his eyes, he felt that hurt his career, and the fact of, the film didn't do that well. He got some critical praise, but at the same time, not as much as it should have, in my opinion. Completely ignored during the awards season. And then maybe thought that hurt his career afterward, that people didn't really see him in getting those roles that he wanted, or as a profitable type of guy, or whatever it may be. There's that stuff at the beginning coming back. Interesting to have Stallone's voice. Although they did a decent enough job. And this whole thing they mention is a myth, but then when Stallone shows that card, you realize, nope, there's a bit more to it than that. Apparently the director taught Stuart Townsend and Stallone how to perform those card tricks in the film. And interesting that Stallone and Melanie Griffith in the same film. It's kind of like when you had one of the only things worth a crap in Grudge Match is Stallone working with Kim Basinger. And like Melanie Griffith, I mean, she was. If you wanted to have your eyes pop out, check out a film from 1981 called War. I'll just say that without giving it away. Just look up 1981 War. Just please feel free. But she probably got most famous for Working Girl. That film was a big hit. And she was even nominated, I think, for an Oscar for that role. She was also in Pacific Heights with I almost don't say with Melanie Griffith, with herself. With Michael Keaton, that's a good one. Carter Hayes. What was that else she was in? Like, she's been in stuff, but nothing that comes to mind. Like, prevalent manner. There's one of those scenes that, oh shit, I haven't seen her in a while. Like, that kind of reaction. I think she was in Mulholland Falls. But yeah, it's like, oh wow, shit, I haven't seen her in a while. It's like, well, she has been working, it's just, stuff you haven't seen. But yeah, I thought Stallone did a good job in this role, and it, something a little bit different for him to play. And the thing with Stallone's character is that he's a guy that is thinking maybe, you know, maybe there's something after this. Maybe I've been in this game too long. Maybe I can retire and live a different life and settle down, so to speak. And what I like about that, it makes you assume at the end that what Stallone's saying right here. What's sad is that you just say that for his career today. That whole dialogue. Old gunfire that someone's waiting to take me down, and maybe I should retire gracefully before some young guy comes in and tears me apart. I mean, obviously this is about this character, and it goes up to, you know, maybe he'll lose at the end, and this will be his moment to, hey, you took me down, I have nothing, but at least I got Melanie Griffith, and I'll move on, and you're now the next guy, the next Dean, you know, good luck. But not quite. Which is part of the con as well. Again, it does some nice twists that don't feel too cheap, at least to me. They don't feel too cheap and too arbitrary. But again, Sally's with Stallone. He is a guy I do feel should have retired a while ago. As much as I love the guy, because I'm sorry, bullet to the heads and steep planes and bat traces are way below him, in my opinion. Way below him. If Stallone followed the Nicolas Cage route, like imagine Stallone doing films like Mandy and Willy's Wonderland and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where he made fun of himself and his movies. Like, think of just those roles. Even like Color Out of Space, which is a very different role. It would be so much more interesting, but I think Stallone, there's a time where he didn't like doing action, I think, and I understand that, because I do think he's a good actor, and he started off in Rocky, all a critic saying, I think it was Roger Ebert or someone saying, it's like Robert, you know, Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro. He thought he would have that career. He didn't think he'd have the action career. But that became very successful, and he kind of got stuck in that pigeonhole. And I think there's a part of him that resented it. So when he get into the 90s, he tried to do comedy. Makes sense. Arnold Schwarzenegger did, but you know, films like Stop and Mom Will Shoot just wasn't really the best choice. Even back in the day with Rhinestone. And I could watch Stop and Mom Will Shoot. I could watch it and have fun with it. I don't hate the film, but it's not like in my top 10 favorite Stallone movies. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, in this time frame, I don't even know. It's just some decisions I don't get. But even then, like films like Shade, ICU, I think is very underrated, and those I'll take over. Again, your Bat Trace and estate plans and stuff. Nowadays, it seems like he'll do a lot of stuff for money. People say it's always been like that. Well, maybe that's true, but it just feels even more apparent today. By the way, enough about Stallone for a bit. I mean, pretty much you can tell that, or in retrospect, Thandiwe Newton is probably the most conniving person in the movie. She's the one who called in, had the tip, which got Jamie Foxx killed pretty much. She's now trying to worm up to Stuart Townsend because, oh, Gabriel Byrne, his old hat, is the younger guy, younger man. It's not because she loves him, it's because manipulate into her own satisfaction, so to speak. And yeah, I saw this. I'm trying to think. I think what it was is I would mention I was in San Marcos, Texas. It was around the same time as ICU came out, aka Detox. I was in San Marcos around that time, and there's Best Buy and Target to buy movies, but there's also this place called Hastings. Hastings, to this day, probably the best store I've ever been in. Close is a store I grew up with called On Q. That and Hastings, two best stores I've ever been in my life. And Hastings, the fact that was so good is because you would go in and it was a good sized store where it had a ton of movies you could rent. I mean, it wasn't like you think of a regular store, like video store. Imagine a regular video store, but 3 times the size. Maybe more, because you also had magazines, it was books, like a bit of a Barnes & Noble, but it was also a bunch of CDs. A lot of times people would sell stuff and you could buy it. People would sell it to get some money, and then if you want it, you can buy it. Same with movies as well. There was used movies you could buy as well as brand new movies, and there's the whole wall of movies to rent. They even had DVDs of the Rambo cartoon to rent. They even had like Intruder, a slasher film from '89, which that DVD wasn't really you could find anywhere. That was available to rent. So there's a lot of different movies that you could just go in and rent, and I mean, holy shit. And that was a time where I'm trying to think. I had a computer, but it was like the family computer, so I only went on it probably like either to type some stories or read stories online. Maybe look up a couple websites for movie news. YouTube wasn't a thing at this point. So really, for a couple stuff, but it's not like nowadays we're on computers seemingly all the time. And what I'm getting at is that streaming, finding movies to watch online, especially for me, was not as prevalent. So it was actually going physically there to rent the movie, pay my money, come home and watch it. And also a lot of these films, not only did they have the store, but they had a website, Go Hastings, and you could get movies cheap. There were so many times I would find movies, it was like $3. And if you buy a certain amount, you get free shipping. So a lot of times, I think someone mentioned like DNA, like where did I get this DNA? And I said eBay. And then I thought, no, actually, you know what? It wasn't. It wasn't eBay. It was Hastings and their website, where there'd be times there'd be movies for $3 or $6 and that helped with the collection fairly well as a shootout happens. There you go. There goes Be Real. And this seems like a movie that's trying to be kind of an ode to a movie back to the day. Not quite like a... Well, yeah, maybe something like the Rat Pack, like Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra would have starred in, or other stuff of that nature. Well, I didn't even know it was recent. We got like 34 minutes left, and that includes the end credits. So this will lead up to this final game, and the final game itself is a decent amount of time. I think they go. I think Hal Holbrook will be coming up. Name the professor. He's a guy who knew Stuart Townsend's character. And at the end, when you look back on the film, it does make you wonder, like, when did he have the con with Sylvester Stallone? Was it first and foremost when he entered town and got back in with these two? More than likely would have been. Would have had to have been. To set up this game to begin with. You see there's a little bit of a gray hair there to show even more so of the age of the character. Yep, Hal Holbrook. Yeah, it's a good actor. Sadly, he passed away last year, January 2021, Hal Holbrook. Always enjoyed him as an actor. He's in a very underrated film called Rituals from the late 70s, which I honestly feel is better than Deliverance. I know a lot of people love Deliverance. I could never get into Deliverance. I think it's overrated. I think Southern Comfort is better, and Rituals in 1977 I think is way better. But he was Deep Throat and All the President's Men, which is a great movie. Magnum Force with Dirty Harry, my favorite Dirty Harry film. He was in The Star Chamber. He was in Creepshow. I mean, I think most people remember most from either John Carpenter's The Fog or Creepshow. Of course, The Fog, he was Father Malone. Creepshow, he was Henry in The Crate, the best segment in the anthology. And you know, throughout the years he'd been in stuff as well. Obviously in this one, he was in what was that movie? Men of Almost said Men of War. Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr. He was in that in a bit part. I think he was in The Majestic, the Jim Carrey film, I believe. I think he was in Lincoln. That's a film I forget Steven Spielberg even did, Lincoln. I think most people forgot about it. Another big role for him was in Evening Shade. People forget that Burt Reynolds had a TV show. And the TV show lasted about 4 or 5 seasons. And like I said, it starred Burt Reynolds, and Hal Holbrook was a big part of that show. Yeah, 1990 to 1994. So yeah, 4 seasons, got to 100 episodes. Evening Shade was still a top 30 performer even when CBS canceled the series in May '94. Skyrocketing production costs attributed to the large salaries of the show's top caliber all-star cast were the primary reason given for the cancellation. Some have speculated the show's ending was a decision made by Burt Reynolds rather than CBS, as his recent marriage troubles with Lonnie Anderson were thought to have affected his work. So, but yeah, rest in peace to Hal Holbrook. But he would continue a bunch of TV work. He was in some Perry Mason TV movies, episodes of The Sopranos, NCIS, ER, Sons of Anarchy, Bones, Hawaii Five-0. So I think mainly he did some movies, but he's mainly doing TV work later in his career. Of course, people who know the Rocky films should know that guy, who was sitting next to Stuart Townsend. Worked with Apollo Creed himself, and then worked with Rocky in Rocky IV. Of course, I also remember him in Assault Precinct 13 with the plan Save Ass. That means like, get out of these windows and run like a mother. It's called Save Ass. But yeah, Tony Burton, sadly, is another guy who passed away. But like I say, he did a great job working with Carl Weathers in the Rocky films, and then working with Stallone in Rocky IV and Rocky Balboa. This are making some hurting bombs. Character he played in those was Duke. Like I say, he was in Assault on Precinct 13, the original. Before that, well, not before. Well, yeah, early on in the career, as Wells. Now here we have our mob boss guy, Patrick Borschow. Yeah, sorry if I messed up that name. Like I said, I'm bad with names. I'm trying to remember where I remember him the most from. I think he was in the James Bond film A View to a Kill. And something else I remember him in, like, more prominently. Yeah, here we get to our card game, which will last a decent amount, and there'll be some breaks into it. And yes, one of the players is Michael Dorn, the guy with the hat here, Worf from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Honestly, it was just cool to see Stallone in this type of role in his heyday. You call this a heyday? Well, compared to today, I mean, damn, it's almost 20 years ago, which is crazy to say that it's been almost 20 years since then, but yeah, that's true. Well, 20 damn years. Fucking crazy. He's out. Just like the bridge is out. You'll call who? Oh, wrong call. This piece of cake. Again, at least the director, I give credit that he does keep the movie going. It's decently paced. Like I said, it doesn't overstay its welcome. God forbid, like, a film of today try to think of that. Again, there's so many times where there's movies just overstay its welcome. Yes, there are movies I enjoy that are long and I can deal with it, but god damn, there's so many other films that just... Sometimes there's fat that needs to be cut out. And the thing when you do these movies, deal with cars and poker, kind of what this director's doing is that he keeps the camera moving. Either his camera going over the card table, or moving left to right, moving right to left. So that it doesn't feel stagnant. Yeah, Stallone, I think, plays this off fairly well. I think Stallone pulls it off well, and well, the few movies he gets to smoke his cigars. Bad manners, Tony. Yeah, sorry I'm not saying much. Cleveland, Cincinnati, same state. I guess I'm kind of thinking on, the fact that this film has such a limited release really does show, honestly, how much Sylvester Stallone's star power dwindled at this point. Because, yeah, think about it. if you're to say to someone, "Oh, I got this film with Sylvester Stallone and Jamie Foxx, and then here's some other actors you know," it's like, okay. Oh, but it's going straight to video. What? Yeah. Like, if Sylvester Stallone, if his films like Driven and Dick Carter were still, if they had become big hits, I think this film would have gotten a theatrical release. I mean, it's not like a big movie in terms of like there's a epic feel or epic look to it, but the way it's shot, it looks fine enough. Like, it doesn't look. I've seen some really cheap looking direct-to-video films, and this looks fine. It doesn't look that terrible, awful, and any of that sort. I think it would have been perfectly acceptable in the theater. I mean, what if, say, Rounders or Matt Damon, that got a theatrical release? So I'm just saying, if that was able to get a theatrical, this could have as well. And this is an interesting idea that you have the cars that if you're unfocused, you could see the numbers. I think that's a very interesting idea. It reminds me of that stuff back to the day. I don't know if anyone remembers this. I don't really see it anymore, but there's these paintings that look like a bunch of randomness, but if you unfocus your eyes, you see like a hidden picture in it. I think that's the same type here. There you go. I will admit also one of the reasons I liked about the film, as superficial as it is, I like that Stallone won in the end. Because it would seem like typical that, okay, Stallone's going to lose and the new guy's going to rise up. And it's like, oh, I don't want Stallone to lose, but just being a big fan. But like I say, I thought it worked out well for the best that that happened, so to speak. It's a weekend player, huh? Upper the ante. Up the ante and then some. Getting pretty hectic. Getting kind of hectic. That's almost like almost like a smile between the two. Like, yep, we're able to do it. We're able to get their money in there. Come on, Bo Hopkins, don't fucking molest Tony Burton. What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? I mean, you just say that like Melanie Griffith, maybe it's kind of a thankless role. And like I said, her and Stallone are not really in the film like a tremendous amount. Play a damn card game while Mexican standoff. Yeah, this is like being a fan of Stallone. This is like a nice highlight moment, especially this coming up here. I knew this day would come, but it's not today. Just ain't today. Now that's a line that's been said before. You're good, kid, really good, but as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best. Pretty much all ends well. I mean, tasted to Gabriel Byrne and Thandiwe Newton for their money. Cop thinks that he's broke, so that's a big goodbye. And that's the thing, is that with the twist, you think, okay, the twist is that just remember Gabriel Byrne knowing just how much of a two-time and biatch Thandiwe Newton's character is. Dan is a bit old con. Got Gabriel Byrne out of his money. Got Thandiwe Newton out of her money. Knows they're two-time and conniving anyway, so it's not going to be a big loss. That kind of confirms to Stuart Townsend what kind of person Thandiwe Newton is. Whatever makes her get her big goal, that's what she's going to center on. Again, that's one of the things I liked about the film. Not just the cast, not just the quick pacing, but thought the twists were actually fun. Like coming up here, like the final twist, I thought was kind of pretty entertaining. But you think, okay, the movie's just over here, and he'll say your goodbye and such, but then again, this sort of final reveal. I forgot that Bo Hopkins was a part of it too. The same bloody ace that he had back in the day. It wasn't just an urban legend. That's a pretty damn good tip. It ain't no tippin' pippin'. sort of a remark of Scottie Pippen. No tipping Pippen. But it's like, not quite. It's like, well, maybe a couple. You know, maybe not that much. Save a little bit of money. It's fine to save a little bit of money just in case. Maybe some people would say there's just too many twists. That it was, but for a movie that's about cons, I think it works well, and it seems fair enough. That doesn't feel like a cheap trick. And because being a fan of Sylvester Stallone, Stuart Townsend's character does seem much more decent than the other Gabriel Byrne, Thandiwe Newton. It does make a satisfying mix. Obviously, you can't have more Sylvester Stallone because that's not the film. But yeah, I still would love to see more Sylvester Stallone. And like I said, Melanie Griffith, there's not a whole lot to her character. I mean, other than the one or two scenes with Stallone, that's like the big gist of what you get. Again, the cast works well. Directing is efficient enough. Hour and 20 some minutes, like I said, doesn't overstay its welcome. And in particular, if you like card games, cons, that type of stuff, it's definitely worth a look for a film. Again, that just went pretty much straight to video. And like I said, I've seen much worse movies, much worse films than this. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty decent one, pretty decent watch, and definitely worth a look for those who, like I say, if you're a big fan of Sylvester Stallone, you're not going to get a lot of him in it. So if you watch it just for him, maybe you'd be disappointed. But like I said, it was still a nice, different type of role for Stallone, and he does have some decent moments in it. And overall, I'm not really into card movies because I don't play poker and the like, but at least it made it interesting enough to keep my interest. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.